We are reading through the book of Matthew this month, taking a chapter a day as a congregation. And each day I'm sharing just a few thoughts about that chapter, just a little something to think about, sometimes a little behind the scenes thought. And today we are on Matthew 11. And I got two things that I wanted to share. First, we see at the beginning of it, when John the Baptist sends some of his disciples to see Jesus. Let me just read it directly, then I'm going to comment on it. When John had heard in prison about the works of Christ, he sent two of his disciples and said to him, "Are you the coming one, or do we look for another?" Jesus answered and said to them, "Go and tell John the things which you hear and see. The blind see, the lame are walking, lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are being raised, and the poor have the gospel preached to them." Now, why is that important? Because a lot of times today, we are so quick to try and gauge success or failure or how well things are going based on numbers. If you ask most churches or most ministers, how are y'all doing? They're going to tell you about the number of average attendees or the number of members or the amount of the offering, those kind of things. What's the size of your building? That all tends to be responding to with numbers. Now, don't get me wrong, there's certainly some value to numbers, but that's not how we gauge whether or not we're being successful with God's mission. God's created small churches, medium churches, large churches, and all of them have a place. He is saying that how we are to be judged on the mission is by the fruits. What do people see? And not in numbers. The blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised up, the poor have the gospel preached to them. So if you want to judge how well things are going with the mission, ask yourself, are people being reached out to? Are we caring for others? Is the gospel being preached? Is our voices carrying? Are we going to the people? Not are they coming to us? Those are the kind of things we need to use when gauging success or failure. Now, the second thing that I really want to highlight from Matthew 11 is later on down, verses 25 through 30. Oh, this is a beautiful piece. In many modern Bibles where there are headers to sections, because those aren't in the original, a lot of times the header will say something to the effect of Jesus gives true rest. Let me read from verse 28 when it says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." That is really critical for us today, because today it seems more than any time I can remember, people are more stressed out, people are more anxious, people are more worried. People want to pull their hair out all the time. And it seems like people go from one issue to the next, from one stressor, one whatever, and they are just unending. That's not the life that God had designed for us. He doesn't want us to go from one stressor, one event of anxiety, one event of worry to the next. He wants us to be able to experience joy, fellowship with him, be able to experience this wonderful creation that he has put us in. So when you've got that heavy burden, when you've got that stress and anxiety that you really need to shake off, the first thing you need to do is to give it to God. That's why it says, "Come to me," and this is Jesus talking, "all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Come to Jesus with all of your stress, all of your worry, all of your anxiety. Look to him, relax, and let it go. And then take comfort in knowing that Jesus takes that away. You can relax. You can be the person that you were created to be, enjoying life in the world. Remember that.